Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of The Rundown here in 2026. Brandon Wirt, Jack Heckman, giving you the good stuff here in CSAA Winter Sports. We got a great show for you here today. We got your girls and boys basketball recap, as well as we will preview the big slate coming up on Friday here later on this week, as well as we'll have a special guest interview. Coach Bob Raven, head coach for Morley Stanwood Varsity Girls Basketball. It's a state-ranked squad right now, and had a pleasure to chat with him, which you'll be able to see or listen to here in just a little bit. But I mean, Jack, not to get too much into the interview, but I mean, the Mohawks are a team that we've been watching overall this year. So it's great to talk to the head coach and be able to see exactly what they're feeling so far through the first couple games.
Yeah, most definitely an exciting team, a state-ranked team, like you said. This is a squad going forward that they're going to have a lot of eyes on them.
Absolutely. So we'll have that interview for you in just a moment. But first, we'll recap the scores from earlier on this week. But before we do that, big thanks goes out to our sponsors, including Denny's Muffler and Brakes in Big Rapids. They can do all the great things to help you with your car. You can even get an oil change, obviously brakes and muffler work, general auto repair. They can help you out. You can visit them on Northland Drive and State Street in Big Rapids. Also, big thanks goes out to Eagle Village. If you're looking for a job that impacts the lives of youth and the next generation, they could use your help. EagleVillage.org/careers. Eagle Village, where a potential source. All right, Jack, let's look into the scores to recap. We will start on the boys' side from early on this week. We'll talk about Monday and Tuesday's games. The big notable one on Monday, Central Montcalm and Big Rapids squaring off. Cardinals fall by 9 on the road to an undefeated Hornets team. Very, very good overall result. It felt like for Big Rapids. Morley Stanwood knocks off Newaygo 49-40, and then Chip Hills knocks off a depleted Clare Pioneer team 64-35. But overall, Jack, I mean, talking about your Cardinal team, I know I had to fill in for you on Monday. You tried to get your Jordan Flu game, unable to though. But overall, Big Rapids and Coach Thomas, I mean, we'll mention especially the games on Tuesday, as of yesterday as we're recording this, where they played really well back-to-back nights. This Big Rapids team feels like they're really starting to turn around. They're starting to gel.
Yeah, most definitely. They're getting back on the right foot. Obviously, you were there. I wasn't. I talked to Coach Thomas a little bit about though. He was talking to me. He said, it was a 3-point game. We'd get them back to 3, and then it feels like they would go on this big run. This Cardinal team just has to find really that gear to put them over the top when they fall back. And we've seen them fall down early in games. They play a good 2 or 3 quarters, but they can never find that fourth and final quarter, which they then get against Newaygo for the first time all season against White Cloud on Tuesday.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that White Cloud game on Tuesday. Cardinals win 73-39 at White Cloud. That's a big bounce back win for Coach Thomas's squad. Kent City knocks off Kent City Algoma Christian, a little intercity rivalry there, 55-46. The final score. The Eagles win it. Reed City knocks off Lakeview 68-33 in their gymnasium there at Cook, as well as Morley Stanwood falls to Tri-County at home. A big win for Coach Newell and the Vikings there by 14, 63-49. And the ultimate game we were watching that unfortunately wasn't a game at all. This Grant Tigers team is legit. 82-56, they knock off, and not only knock off, dominate against that undefeated, or was undefeated, Central Montcalm Hornets squad. And I got to tell you what, Coach George, very, very impressive with what he's done with this guard group, this versatility of the team. They only have 10 guys, which actually is a lot less than a lot of the other varsity teams in the area, but they all play, they all contribute. That team is legit, and they can shoot the rock.
Yeah, 100%. Grant's completely on a whole other planet than anybody else in the CSAA right now. And it goes to show, just looking at some of the scores, they put up 82 points against the Central Montcalm team that's been able to hold teams, under the 70 mark, under the 60 mark in multiple games this season. And then for Grant to go out and put 82, you mentioned it, they're shooting the lights out of the gym and they're playing really good basketball right now.
Absolutely. Good to see Reed City fill it, especially in that second half of that game against Lakeview. Really good momentum win going into this next week as well. There are some games coming up as well Wednesday and Thursday, which you might not be hearing the episode or listening to the episode at that time, but we'll talk about that here later on in our preview segment after our interview. But let's flip over now into the CSAA girls scoreboard here from Monday and Tuesday. We'll talk about Monday's games first on January 12th. Carson City Crystal and Tri-County duked it out. The Vikings win big, and I mean big, 67-8. Yes, you did hear that correctly. It was the reported score on MHSAA.com. And then White Cloud as well actually won up Tri-County in the scoring effort, 74-8 over a really depleted Pentwater team. But that's a big win for the Indians, especially there on the road. And then Big Rapids goes up to Manistee, or excuse me, rather hosts Manistee, and knocks off the Mariners 63-45. That's a big district win there for the Cardinals. And Reed City falls to a very good Pine River Bucks team. Reported score 64-27. But overall, Tri-County, White Cloud get big wins. Big Rapids continues to show why they should be a favorite in District 35. And Pine River's a team that is a little bit slept on, both boys and girls on the side, but Reed City overall still opportunities to bounce back.
Yeah, when Hunter said they just struggled, they weren't really able to stick with Pine River. You mentioned it. Pine River is a really good team. And yes, Reed City had a higher NPR if you were to go log on and see on the MHSAA website. But this Reed City team, they lost by a large margin. But this Pine River is a really good squad, one of the better ones they've had in the last couple of years.
Absolutely. And the Coyotes, especially the offense, they're still trying to work out a little bit early this season. The defense so far has been solid, but teams knock down shots like Pine River did. Hard to beat anybody that way. Let's look now at the Tuesday scores from the 13th. Looking at the CSAA girls slate, Central Montcalm and Grant duked it out. It would be the Hornets over the Tigers, 53-41 there from Stanton. Big Rapids gets a big win over White Cloud by 20, 56-36. Tri-County falls to Morley Stanwood, 69-29. Coach Raven's team we mentioned is legit. I mean, just absolutely offensive slugfest there. Great scoring effort across the sheet. And then Newaygo knocks off Orchard View 50-31 there on M37. Big win for Coach Tomzima and the Lions group, who are still really playing good basketball despite a couple early losses. They're shrugging them off and they're back to work and they're winning ball games.
Yeah, 100%. They're able to get some big time wins. They are a 3-4 team when you look at it, but you get a big time win at the beginning of the season against your rival in Grant. You destroyed against Lakeview team, and then you've kind of struggled in this new year against the Big Rapids, but the really good Big Rapids team, like we said earlier, and then you get a big time win over Muskegon Orchard View. This is a squad that's going to have some very winnable games coming up, and they're going to have a chance to get their NPR back up, which is something they're going to need with this sub 500 NPR right now.
Absolutely. Some competitive games, Chip Hills, Reed City, as well as Central Montcalm on the docket for the Lions upcoming. So we'll see what they have to say about that. Before we get into the interview with Coach Raven and Molly Stanwood women's basketball, big thanks goes out to RivalsMI.com. Save money on your next purchase of local sports merchandise online, RivalsMI.com for more information. With that, we send you to the interview room with the head coach of girls varsity basketball, Molly Stanwood, Bob Raven. Now joined here an exclusive interview with head varsity girls basketball coach for Morley Stanwood, Bob Raven. Coach, thank you so much for joining us here on the Rundown.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I know things are rolling really smooth right now. Just talk about through the first 7 games where you guys feel you're at as a team all together, the coaching staff, and so far undefeated through 7 games.
Yeah, things have been going pretty well for us. I thought, Christmas break maybe slowed us down a little bit, but now we're starting to pick up steam again. I'm really getting into the meat of our schedule now. We got some really tough games coming up. So we're definitely feel like we're going to be tested here in the next 2-3 weeks.
Absolutely.
Starting with Friday against Kent City.
For sure. I was just going to ask you about that. What's the big emphasis going into the Kent City game, knowing that this could be, one of the 2 games that could decide the conference for you guys?
Yeah. Last year they got us in 2 close games. It's always been a battle the last decade, really, with Kent City. It's come down to us and them battling it out. And I don't expect anything different. I think it'll be a close, I think it's going to be a defensive battle, actually. I think they get after it defensively. I've been watching tape on them here all this week, and, they present some problems for sure.
Absolutely. And for you as a coach, I know this is your second stint with the varsity girls program, and the going back to a special year, I'm sure, for you and your entire coaching staff and team, 2011 through 2012, going undefeated all the way to Breslin and getting it done, bringing the state championship home to Morley. And maybe really the question that I'm very curious, I'm sure many fans are, has that experience making it all the way to that level, has that changed your coaching style over the years, knowing exactly what it means to get there?
That's a good question. I don't think it changed me a whole lot. Obviously that was a special group. We played in a lot of big games throughout the years. So, this team is probably not on the level of that team, but I really, really like this group, and they're working hard for us right now, and the results are showing so far.
Absolutely. And I know you've got a lot of great talented players. And, looking at Caitlin Norat's had a really good season, Alexis Martin as well. I mean, just talk about what you see in your team and what makes you guys so good offensively and defensively.
Yeah, you spoke of two of our post players, both having great years. But I really like our balance. I've got some guards that can shoot the ball and I know Kent City's going to collapse on our bigs, and it's going to be crucial that we be able to kick the ball out, and our guards are going to have to make some shots and make some good decisions. But I feel like we can put five on the floor that people are going to have to guard. In any high school game, I think that's big.
Absolutely. What do you think is the key characteristic that maybe, fans or maybe, casual score watchers when they're looking at your guys' games, what's something that you think really defines your team this year that maybe doesn't meet the eye immediately?
You look at our scores, I think, for girls basketball in this area, we like to push the ball. We take pride in trying to put points up on the board. But we're really trying to get better defensively. I really think if we're going to do something this year, that's what's going to be about, because I think we can score. It's just a matter of being able to shut down people in those key times. But I just think that we play hard, and that's kind of a staple of our program, that we're going to get after it.
Yeah, and with the program, I know it's been very consistent, looking year after year, looking at records, conference championships. I know fans obviously expect the success the players do as well, but just talk about the work that your players do, not only within the season itself, but out of season, and how that is parallel to what you guys are able to do and compete for championships.
Starts in the off season for sure with us. It's kind of expected that we're going to do a lot of summer stuff. We're going to go to camps. We're going to work on some individual stuff, do 4-man workouts. So it's kind of just built into our program. It's kind of expected. The younger girls see it. So it's not a big shock when they get up to the high school and the varsity level. They just kind of know what's expected, and we've just rolled with it. And we've been very fortunate.
For sure. And talk about, I know you guys have had some key home wins so far this year with great crowds on hand. Just talk about the testament for them being there and being able to support you and your team.
Yeah, I've been blessed. I've said it all along to coach at Morley Stanwood. Great community, very supportive. We have great fans, and yeah, we like to think that our home gym is an advantage, and hopefully we can take care of that in these next coming games. We've got some big home games coming up.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thank you so much for the time. I'll ask you one last question here. What's going to be the key for you guys, through the first 7 games now with hindsight, looking ahead? You obviously mentioned really tough schedule the next couple of weeks with Big Rapids as well as Kent City on Friday. For you, getting to that ultimate destination, championships, conference, district, and so on, what's going to be the big key that you would like your team to focus on and what fans should expect?
Comes down to what every coach says. We've got to minimize our turnovers, which we've been doing a decent job of that. We've got to keep shooting the ball at a decent level, which we have been doing. But like I said, I think it's going to start with our defense and buying in. Like you said, we got Big Rapids coming up. They've got some really, really talented girls that are going to be tough to stop, as well as Kent City. And then, we've got like Fremont, Hart coming in. So we've got some big games coming up that are going to challenge us and hopefully get us ready for the tournament.
For sure. Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us here on the Rundown, and good luck to you and your Mohawk squad the rest of the year.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon.
Huge shout out to Coach Raven for joining us here on the show. I know he's been through a little bit of a media blitz over the last week or so since being a state-ranked team. And you know what? That happens when you become a state-ranked team. People want to hear from them, and especially, they've just had fabulous play all season long, and it's really been a spread effort as well. Kate Norat leading them in points per game. Alexis Martin's been a key piece as well. This is a really good Morley Stanwood team here, Jack. We're going to talk about a big game for them upcoming on Friday, but a lot of good things upcoming for the Mohawks.
Yeah, 100%. They're sitting around 55 to 60 points a game. They're putting up a lot of points, and they're holding their opponent to not very many points. It's just the perfect formula to win a game. You're playing really, really good basketball, and that's why they're ranked right now.
It seems like simple analysis, but at the end of the day, complementary basketball is what they specialize at. Offense, defense on the same night, which a lot of teams that we've seen this year have struggled to find one or the other. But let's get into the CSA Sports slate. But first, big thanks to Dazos Digital, proud partner with The Rundown. If you want your business on videos like these in advertised in front of your target audience, you can find out more, DazosDigital.com for more information. Let's look at the girls' side first. We'll flip the script from the opening recap that we did earlier on in the show. Girls matchup, there is one that happened on Wednesday, January 14th. You probably are missing it as far as when you are watching or listening to this episode, but that was a game. That's a big game, Kent City and Chippewa Hills. We'll report that score for you online later on as well. Big Rapids Daily News. Looking at the girls matchup on Friday, there's some big ones especially, and we'll save the good one for last. Big Rapids will square off against Grant at home, so the Tigers will travel to face the Cardinals. The Coyotes of Reed City will travel to Howard City to face the Vikings. That should be a good matchup there in Howard City. Then we got Newaygo hosting Chip Hills. This could be a very interesting game. Both those teams around 500 this year so far. White Cloud will host Central Montcalm. The Hornets will travel to the Indians on Friday. And then Lakeview will have a non-conference game. They will be heading to Breckenridge to try to add one more to the win column. And then finally, the big one, Morley Stanwood going to be hosting Kent City. Mano a mano, really for the CSAA white lead for the girls division. Should be a great game. Morley Stanwood's been great offensively this year. Kent City has also showed that they can score the rock and play some defense as well. I think this could be a big opportunity. I would like to see how Kent City uses their size to try to match against really good guard play from Morley Stanwood.
Yeah, we talked about it on the last episode, how this is pretty much your conference championship, the first matchup, a 2-game set. And in this first matchup, this is a team that both these squads are playing really good basketball right now. And this is the biggest matchup so far in the CSA, probably really across all of them. Maybe Grant and Central Montcalm could follow that up in the Monday contest. But this is a big-time matchup, one of the biggest in the CSA so far.
Absolutely, and I'll be keeping an eye as well. I know I'm a Coyote at heart, but that obviously gives me bias. But Tri-County and Reed City could be a very interesting game. I mean, you look at Tri-County, yes, they're 4-5, but this is a team that I believe, if I'm checking my notes right, 3 out of their last 5, they have taken victories. And especially being able to host, there's a lot of momentum for them. The Coyotes got to go there to beat them. And then obviously Big Rapids looking to stay atop the CSA Red, get a win against Grant here this year. So those are the games coming up here in girls hoops on Friday. Jack, is there one specifically for you that's catching your eye that we might not have talked about already?
I mean, I think we really covered the Morley Stanwood Kent City game. We talked about the Reed City. We talked about Big Rapids Grant. But that Big Rapids Grant, it not only sets the tone for the girls, it also sets the tone for the guys who need a big-time victory over a team like Grant. So if you get a girls basketball win, you get the momentum, maybe a really exciting game for the girls, and then you come back and the boys are able to get in and win a game, it could completely change the landscape of both the CSA girls and boys.
That's a very good point. And let's talk about the CSAA boys games. A lot of them very similar to ones we just ran through. You'll just see different records and different teams as far as what you'll see on the floor. Big Rapids hosting Grant. 10-0 on the season are the Tigers. Cardinals fresh off of a win on Tuesday, looking to see if they can make it 2 in a row. Tri-County, big win against Morley Stanwood. Now they go back to Howard City. Can they make it 2? As Reed City also looking to get 2. They haven't got it this year. They've played some good ball, have gotten 4 wins, but haven't strung 2 together consecutively. That's the big thing that Coach Walsh, when I talked to him, looking to do that, especially with great guard play, and as the bigs are really stepping up so far. Morley Stanwood 6-4, going to be hosting Kent City. Both of these teams, it really feels like for Kent City and Tri-County, didn't play their best on Tuesday, really didn't have an opportunity to really get away, especially from their opponent. Yes, Kent City won, but only by 10 against Algoma, and Morley Stanwood falling to the Vikings. I think especially for them, good shooting for Morley Stanwood could be the difference in this one. Newaygo going to be hosting Chip Hills. Look, for Coach Darnell, these are the games. You got to go on the road. You got to compete and really prove to yourself that you are a top team in this conference. So this would be a big test for them on the road. And then White Cloud will host who is really going to be probably the most motivated team this week after falling last night against the really, really good Grant team in Central Montcalm. We'll see if the Hornets really run it against the Indians and maybe blow this one out.
Yeah, 100%. Session Montcalm playing really good basketball. Evan Rolston averaging 19 points a game. He's one of the better players in the entire conference across the boys, red and white. This is a motivated team. You talked about it. They've had a tough week, only beating Big Rapids by 9 points. And I say that only because they have higher expectations to do so. But so does Big Rapids. Those are two teams with high expectations coming into the season. Big Rapids faltered to those expectations, but looking to take a step forward. But Session Montcalm is a motivated team. And White Cloud has played some close games early, but it's going to be very tough because last night it was a 17-17 game with 4 minutes left before halftime, and then they led by, I believe, 6 points against Fremont to start the game. So this White Cloud team may be able to surprise in the first quarter, but I expect the Hornets to run away with this one.
Yeah, that's a very good point indeed. And looking at some of these other games, and Jack will get your perspective on another game as well. I think especially this Morley Stanwood Kent City game is going to be interesting. Kent City has some size. They lost some shooting from last year's team, but I think Coach Boyd's done a great job of using what he has. And it's a little bit of a tough start to the season, tough sledding. Obviously, the schedule has been a big proponent of that. But going on the road, a place that they're trying to get some wins in that column, especially when you're preparing for February. You got to do it in any gym, any date, anytime, anywhere. And for Morley Stanwood and Coach Cummings' group, I mean, we look at Babbitt, we look at Garrett. They've been very good this year. They're going to need a bounce-back game just for their own morale.
Yeah, 100%. This is a team that's been up and down almost the entire season. They haven't truly found that, go ahead and get a streak going. That Reed City game in the middle of December, that was a really good game for them. But since then, they've kind of not really played their best basketball. They've fallen behind a little bit. They hosted a holiday tournament, but was against some weaker squads in Montebello and Oscoda. But then you play against a weird game in Whitehall. It was definitely a weird game for them to schedule it. But then you take advantage of Lakeview. But Lakeview's not one of the better teams. You won by 23 points. We saw Lakeview give Reed City a little bit of a struggle bus in the first half last night, and then Morley Stanwood played a 9-point game against Newaygo. So this is a very interesting game for really both sides, and especially for Morley Stanwood. They got to bounce back, like you said.
Absolutely. And what we've learned is anybody can beat anybody in this conference. So it's going to be a fun Friday night of hoops. We got you covered as well. Be sure to subscribe here if you're watching with us on Big Rapids Daily News on YouTube. You can also watch on Facebook and X as well. We're posting the videos there, so you don't have to go to YouTube. Or if you're an anti-YouTuber for some odd reason, we got another way for you to watch. You can also listen in on 107.7 FM, 3:30 p.m. for all of your local sports coverage. So that's going to conclude our episode. Jack, any last thoughts on this slate coming up Friday?
It's going to be exciting for both the girls and the boys. Some big games, some games who don't really matter, but they could completely change the landscape of the conference.
You just never know at the end of the day. And all of our wrestling folks, I'll put a little bit of, just a little bit of nudge in your ear. Yeah, you might want to be on this episode next week. We might be looking at some wrestling action to recap here upcoming. So be sure that you're on the lookout for that. For Jack Heckman and Brandon Wirtz saying so long here, this has been an edition of The Rundown on WBRN.